It is great to be here, and it's so fun to run into a matador. I travel all over the globe, and it's always interesting the connections we make as human beings, right? And that's why my mother says, Ana Maria, make sure you're always behaving, because you never know. We're here actually in precursor to an amazing event that's going to happen in less than 16 weeks. This is our national convention for Girl Scouts. We do it every 3 years at the end of our triennium. It allows us the opportunity to bring our Girl Scout movement to an amazing location, not only to celebrate our successes, but to share commonalities and understand what we've been doing for the last 3 years as leaders in local communities across the globe. And we're bringing our national convention here to Salt Lake. So thank you so much for hosting us. I think it's going to be a great time. I got to sit down yesterday with your wonderful governor and talk to him actually about what we're doing in Girl Scouts. He is a big supporter of this movement, and we actually had something quite in common, and that's that we're trying to really ensure that we are developing a strong economy, not only here in Utah, but for this great country. And as I was explaining to the governor, that we in Girl Scouts have been doing this for 102 years. We clearly understand that girls are not a problem to be solved, but actually a solution to be had. Today, I want to talk to you about what we clearly know, especially sitting in a bank, that there are certain economic realities facing not only Utah, but our great country. I've been thinking about this a lot. I was just telling Keith that I had the great honor to go back to one of my alma maters, University of Arizona, go Wildcats. And I had a great honor because I went back and I was their commencement speaker. And so as I was sharing this message with these graduates, I was talking to them about, what will you be facing as you graduate? And what will future generations be facing in this country? As we see not only challenges facing other developing nations like China, India, that clearly there are other countries that are outpacing us when it comes to their workers and their education processes and wages. And though we at Girl Scouts clearly understand that we've been creating this leadership pipeline for this country for 102 years, we know we cannot do it in isolation. And we know these old systems won't work anymore. They just won't. And so how do we ensure that we have a positive future in this country and that we remain competitive? According to the World Economic Forum, when you talk about girls and you talk specifically about gender equality, we know that gender equality attracts top talent to a firm or country. It reduces expenses, it increases organizational performance, and most importantly, improves a national productivity and competitive scale. We just do better as a country. But as I've developed as a woman in my career, I see this imbalance, unfortunately. As a lawyer, I saw it when I walked into courtrooms, and we did not have gender equality in those positions. So what decisions were coming out of our courtrooms? What decisions were we making around boardroom tables? And of course, that ties into pay equity. It continues to be an issue. In 2012, female full-time workers made only 77 cents for every dollar earned by a man, a gender gap of 23%. And unfortunately, if you look at African-American women, Hispanic women, it's even worse. So with these challenges, I've got to tell you, because I'm a woman who's a glass half full, this is not a doomsday message. This is about opportunity, right? As a lawyer, I'm going to allow you to spot issues, right? And I'm going to help you come up with solutions. And I'm going to galvanize people around the table and say, how do we tackle these problems? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's the Girl Scouts. Right? We're the proof in the pudding. We are. And I don't say that to brag. Well, maybe just a little. But to say that we actually have data to prove what we're selling. Well, look at our alum. I just met 2 right here this morning who are serving here in the state legislature, in the House and the Senate. There are Girl Scouts. They put their name on the ballot to make a difference, right? They're serving in key educational roles. They're mothers, they're parents. And when you compare our Girl Scout alum to non-alums, we found some interesting data. We have 59 million living Girl Scouts in the United States. 1 in 2 American women wore our sash. And what we found is that our alum, they went on to very successful careers. They're making more money per year, on average $12,000 more. They went on and got higher levels of education. They're more actively inclined. They're volunteering in all sorts of capacities. And as I said to the president, they vote, and they vote often. And as your wonderful CEO says, he's man enough to be a Girl Scout. I love this picture. You know, as they point out, it's not the nice thing to do to support girls. It's the right thing to do. What I say is, again, it's not boys against girls or men against women. It's what are we going to do collectively to ensure they all have the same opportunity? Because sadly, by the 4th grade, we see girls opting out of leadership roles. Why? Why is that? They're smart, they're intelligent. Even in the same family, brother, sister, 4th grade, girls somehow turn off a light. They stop raising their hands. We as adults send them mixed messages. We call them bossy when they're showing their leadership experience, right? We ask them, really, do you want to do that? Is it safe? Do we have the experience? Even as women, I spend half my time convincing women you can do things. You don't need a PhD in an issue to raise your hand and have an opinion, right? But it also takes men, and my righteous brothers in the room, right, to understand that it's a perfect balance. Because I grew up in a household where there was that balance, right? I had a father in rural Arizona who, back in the 1950s, supported his Latina wife to run for office. Why should it resonate? It should resonate because we've got some really critical issues we have to tackle in this country. I've talked just about the economy and pay and wages. I can talk to you about transportation infrastructure issues. I can talk to you about the tsunami of older people who are going to enter our state systems for healthcare needs, for home care needs in 2020, when we don't have the workforce to serve them. I can talk to you about small businesses. You know, 1 in 4 people are employed by businesses in this country. Yet women, you know, don't see the opportunity sometimes of opening up their own storefront. Right? So for us in this room today, I'm here to ask you something. First, I'm asking you to lean in, right? As my good friend Sheryl Sandberg would say, lean into these issues. Make them not the fuzzy, nice, oh, nice girl issues. Stand up and say, this is an economic imperative issue. This is a wage issue. This is a tax issue. This is an educational issue. This is a social issue. And that every one of us, whether we have kids or not, right, or we're raising 2 million girls or not, that we clearly understand that Girl Scouts is an answer. And I say this because I partner with many nonprofits around the country. And I say, you know, if Girl Scouts is your thing, great. But if it's another organization that partners with, wonderful. If you're involved in a faith organization, join us. It takes a village, right, to raise a girl. And all I'm asking today is you start thinking about what is your role in that? What is your role in ensuring that we do have a pipeline of leadership that's balanced? That in 20 years from now, that we're not sitting back saying, wow, what did we miss? What messages did I give my daughter, my niece, that local neighborhood girl who knocked on my door and said, would you buy my cookies? Right? Did you stop for a minute and ask her, what are your goals and aspirations? It's simple. That's all it takes. And the number one thing I hear from our girls, what would it take for you to aspire to great things? You know what they say to me? It's a very simple message. I can't be what I don't see. Now, our challenge is, currently, we only serve 6% of girls in the United States. And we're the largest girl-serving organization in the world. How does this play out? If we're the largest and we're only serving 6% of girls, where are the rest? So we've got a double membership. Yeah, we've got an audacious goal in Girl Scouts. We're going to serve more girls, and we're going to do that by getting more adult volunteers. We're going to build a new technology platform to connect better to the world. And we're going to raise $1 billion for girls. And we're a third of the way there. I'm building leaders. And I want to ask you to join this movement. However you want to do it. If you want to join to be a member today, it's only $15, the best investment you'll ever make. Is it standing next to Debbie and Aaron to ask local community members to also donate? I ask you to do that. Or if you want to be a troop leader, or simply if you want to mentor a girl, I ask you to do that. We recently actually redid all of our badges. We have 136 badges, many of them focused on STEM activities, 13 focused specifically on financial literacy. We recently did 2 studies, one called Girls Love STEM. And what we found was 74% of high school girls love STEM, adore it. They're actually really good in math and science. But then we asked them, okay, so you like math, you like science, you love STEM. How would you rank a STEM career in your future? And it was at the bottom. Actually, a STEM career was at the bottom of the list and after staying at home, right? And we hear a lot of people out there throwing a lot of energy and a lot of dollars, actually, on STEM education for youth. And what our girls are saying is there's a disconnect. And one of the biggest disconnects are 2 issues. One, they're not seeing enough women in STEM as mentors. And so one of the things we've learned with girls is they need to see women actually in this environment. What we also found out through our study is that one of the key factors on whether or not a girl continues in math and science, even in high school and college, to get her prepared to actually go into medical school or any other, educational realm around STEM is the father. And many of the girls that I run into are Girl Scout alum who've gone on, they're doctors, they're chemists, they're engineers. I ask them, what was your dad growing up? What did he do? Many of them were taken to work with their father, who was an architect, or again, an engineer. They saw it, they got to feel it. It wasn't theoretical. We did another research study around the world of finance, especially right after the 2008-2009 recession. And, girls are at kitchen tables. They're listening to their parents struggle with finances. 90% of girls we surveyed said it was important for them to learn how to manage money. And probably the better news is a majority of girls feel gender is no barrier to what they can accomplish financially. But only 12% of girls in this country feel very confident about actually making financial decisions. Also along that lines, 1/4 of the girls in the United States feel they don't have the personal characteristics to be a leader. Stunning, right? Especially when we need more leaders in the pipeline. So at our peak in Girl Scouts, our market share was 12%, and that was in the 1970s. What we've clearly understood, our sort of model, our business model, was created on a stay-at-home mother in the 1950s, right? When women had an opportunity to volunteer full-time. We clearly now know that's no longer the case. Families are both working parents. We have a lot of single parents. We have a lot of grandparents raising grandchildren. So we're now transforming our volunteer system to allow you to volunteer much easily. In addition, here's the other thing that people don't realize. I can go anywhere in the country and I will have a wait list of girls who want to be Girl Scouts. Wait lists across the country. That's not the issue. There may be a perception that Girl Scouts is not the cool thing to do anymore. It's not the case. They're dying to get in our doors. It's the volunteer. We can't get adults to volunteer, right? So we also know we have to make it easier. So that's what used to take 3 months from the time you raised your hand at a recruitment event to say, I want to be a volunteer. It would take us 3 months to get you through training, to sign up, background check, all of that, before you actually got in front of a girl. It's down to 6 days. We also know there's a demographic shift happening in this country, right? Talking to your governor, talking to your bishop, we know actually a growing population here in Utah is the Latino family, right? How are you embracing them? Well, it's the same way, we're a business, right? In certain respects, we have to have a business model that's looking at this demographic shift. And I'm hoping in my own small way, as the first woman of color leading this organization, that other girls of color, other women of color, families of color will see this as we've been for 102 years. We are the most inclusive organization in this country. So in conclusion, I just want to thank you. Thank you for being here, just to hear the story about our movement. We're 102 years strong, and in less than 16 weeks, I'm going to bring the world to your doorstep. We are going to activate this 59 million alum Green Army in this globe to do great things. And I want to tell them it all started here in Utah. Thank you.